Good morning, SoloSpouse community. It's Claire Norman. We're offering about a 20-minute yoga experience this morning as part of our yoga with a side of coffee or coffee with a side of yoga, however you like to see your yoga practice. This afternoon at 4, we do have one of our Ask the Expert events, and we'll be discussing a topic within the Your New CEO status, and that has to do with HVAC care and maintenance and some other kind of home tasks and topics to help keep everything running smoothly while you're in the process of returning to a life of joy, which is our goal all the time. And one way to do that is to be comfortable in your body. And we all have a certain posture, a certain way that we carry ourselves. And sometimes that posture, just the way we hold our bodies, can either be beneficial and aid to that process because we're sort of showing up and strong and just the way we hold ourselves. And in some ways, the posture, if it's not aligned correctly, can actually be detrimental to the process because of, exacerbated pain and such. So this is Come As You Are. It's early in the morning on Tuesday, so this is how I am. So today we're going to talk a little bit about just a couple of yoga poses or postures, as they're also called, that will help to manifest or encourage a good body posture for you. And one of my mantras is your body is brilliant. And so our body is meant to hold us and to carry us and to support us, our souls and minds, through our life and our walking days and sitting days and all the things. So I know many of us are not interested in up and down kind of yoga experience, but meaning up from a chair and back down, since this is pre-recorded, you can take a look at what's coming and decide which versions of these poses will be best for you. So I'll start today. I'm going to come out of my chair for just a moment, and I'm going to stand against the wall behind me to kind of show you a good test of how your posture is showing up today. Remember, there's really not good or bad, there's helpful or unhelpful. So there's no judgment-free zone here in yoga with a side of coffee, which is sort of how I see it. So if you put your body against a wall and just sort of have your rear end lightly touching, and notice whether your hips are leaning forward and back. If they're leaning a little back, you might draw your heels slightly closer to the wall. No need to put your heels absolutely against, but maybe a couple of inches. And you'll lift your chest up and allow your shoulders to come in contact with the wall, just easefully. There's no need to kind of move your body forward and back or tuck hips or any of that. Just kind of notice where your shoulder blades touch the wall. Many of us lean forward, especially in a state of grief, because it's sort of a protection position for the heart, and it's sort of easier on the core and the tummy to hold yourself this way. You're busy trying to recover and return to a life of joy in this time and in any day, really. And so if we just become aware that some strength to lift up and maybe some resting then down in that lifted position. So the back of my head is against the wall. I can lightly feel my shoulder blades, and of course I can feel my rear end against the wall. There is a slight curve here. We don't want to get rid of it. It's there for a reason. Your spine has some natural curves, so that's good to acknowledge and rest in the shape of that curve, your special curve. And we'll take a breath or two and notice how your body might adjust to these touch points against the wall. And then for a moment after you do this, if you just lightly step away from the wall, this, my friends, is your perfect posture. Sometimes we come here and people feel like they're walking like this because we're so used to maybe going this way. So I'm going to reboot my posture just quickly since I moved out of it. Easy to do any time of day. And this is where you land. This is how you are meant to walk and carry yourself through life. And if you're doing this with me or maybe coming back to it, it takes just a tiny bit of core muscle to sort of hold the position. And so it shouldn't be strenuous for you. If we're working to build the core a little bit, we can do that together. So we can accept sort of the weight of the chest, the torso, shoulders, all the muscles here. And so even if it's just a day, a time or two a day, a quick little reboot against the wall, consciously take on that posture and that position and maybe hold it as you can after you reboot. And then throughout the day, maybe just imagine that wall behind you, and we can kind of hold our bodies this way. Okay, so how do we get here? Let's return to our chairs, or you can remain standing because all of the cues will be the same. But there's really just 3 yoga postures for us today. One is called mountain pose, and we can do that seated or standing, but the foundation of all of our postures and our movement and the way that we even move around in life is our feet. And so, our feet have a lot of muscles in them. Some of us may be tough to kind of reach down perhaps and maybe touch the feet, but in a position that you may be able to now or later, it's always good to give yourself just a quick little, kind of foot massage, and only just that you're aware of your feet, that you're aware that there are muscles here. And if reaching for the feet is not available, you can always lift something up or put something under your foot and then just feel into the surface, that you've put without, straining. We're just noticing a little back and forth, kind of side to side here in one foot. And of course, we need to be even. And here's the other foot, just again, noticing the tiny micro muscles. They're sort of brilliant, in your feet to sort of notice how they are. And so we take, we move the block or whatever you may have had, and just a little welcoming to those standing. It's the same thing. You can look down at your feet, lift your 10 toes, put them down, just maybe a little walk, a little lean front and back, a little side to side, just micro movements. You might even want to come up on the balls of your feet and back down, sort of test the strength of the feet. And then we come to a place where we are neutral and feeling kind of satisfied in the body stance, noticing the feet. And so I'll go to the side quickly. Remember the posture that you sort of rebooted or got to against the wall. It's the same one here in mountain pose. The only difference to lighten this up or brighten it up and make it a yoga pose is to spin the arm bones in the shoulder joints and then allow your shoulders to rest down. And so you can even kind of wiggle your fingers a little here just to know that you're not straining to make this position happen. We're just allowing our bodies to settle in to that good posture that we established against the wall. So I'll give you a minute to feel into this position for you. And a lot of times folks feel this even standing in their low back. And I know many times because the core needs a little attention, we tend to sink a little in this low back and sacrum. And that is where all these muscles become strained and contracted. You wake up with a tight back. Some of that is posture, some of it's injury in life. But as we work out those contracted muscles, we maybe think of lifting the front side muscles and releasing the back side muscles. So we draw energy up on the inhale and just release it down. So we release the glutes here. We don't squeeze the glutes, because when we do that, we tuck, right? So breathing in, drawing energy up through the front of the legs, and then relaxing down as the upper body and the core really takes on your body weight and not your back. And so those that are standing, you can stay there and feel into it. Just a quick, note for those that might be sitting. It's the same thing. We feel into the feet. Though we're not weight bearing, we can imagine the shape our body is taking. And the same idea, we just spin the arm bones around in the shoulder joints. So we turn them around, release the fingers, wiggle just a minute. And then if you would like, you may close your eyes just to welcome in the experience for yourself. It may not always be comfortable, But as long as it doesn't hurt, it's because our bodies are doing something new. And so the discomfort is sort of a figuring it out, we're figuring it out. So we'll close our eyes. I'll be silent a few seconds. Yeah, so yoga pose number 1, mountain pose, standing or seated. I'll move right to the seated version of the cat-cow stretch. This is still amazing to build good posture because we need some kind of ability to move, right? Not just hold our bodies, but just even if it's micro movements along the spine. And that helps us absorb and move weight as we move rather than holding and locking and holding and locking. And a way to encourage flexibility in the spine is a simple cat-cow. I'll go to the side and really kind of more of a diagonal. And to do cat-cow seated, it's really simple. Keeping this nice posture here, we'll just inhale and lean the belly button forward, the chest forward, and the shoulders behind you. And then this is really a micro movement. And then going back, just keeping our hands nice and loose, we fold the chest toward each other and stretch along the shoulder blades, dropping the head, keeping the belly strong. And 2 more times. We just lift up and look up here at the end, top of the inhale. As we exhale, we lightly move the hands. And then as we go deeper, 2 or 3 more times, we might notice that as we roll over the sits bones, we just encourage as much movement as you're able to have today, but not taking even the micro movement that you might have. Will keep your muscles sort of contracted. And seated, please stay there a couple more rounds in your own time. And then on the floor, many of you know this, but let's not worry about the up and down. You can choose which one you like today or later. But hands under the shoulders, our shins nice and relaxed, feet relaxed behind us. Inhale, drop your belly, look up. Exhale, draw your belly button to your spine so you'll feel those muscles support the movement in the belly. Drop your head. Inhale, look forward, look up, open your chest. Exhale, draw your belly button to your navel and your head drops low as your shoulder blades go high. 1 or 2 more like that, whether you're seated or standing. And that's kind of a way to encourage, the movement. Yeah. So just as we are this morning. And so our last yoga pose for today before we sit together in a little stillness is called SoloSpouse. I like the Sanskrit version just because it really brings in the rich tradition of our yoga. So SoloSpouse means locust pose. And so seated, this is interesting. You would take I think it's interesting, you would take a folded blanket or towel, something, that you have to just lay on your legs kind of close to your belly. And might be better, I'll go to the side. So so again, we have our feet nice and flat. So with the end of the blanket near your hip creases, you're gonna lean forward and lay your belly on the blanket like this. And then drop your arms straight down from their shoulder joints. If you need to build up your stack of blankets, you can always do that. But we'll come down this way. And then on an inhale, we're going to take our arms out to the side. Feel the back strength here, yes? And then down. That's level 1. Level 2, seated SoloSpouse would be arms out to the side, and then lift the chest, just the chest off the blanket, and push your belly into the blanket. So it's just a little lift in the upper back. And then down. Everything slow and in your own time. This is to build strength in the back by softly resting down on the blanket. Arms to the side. Again, level 1, perfectly good. Try to keep your chin right in line with the divot between your collarbones. In other words, don't drop your head, strain on your neck. And then back down. And rest. We'll do one more like this. Level 1 or level 2, press your belly into the blanket. Lift your chest, let your eyes come with you. and lower. There we go. So those of you seated, maybe a couple more times, maybe just rest. To me, it feels good to rest down on that blanket. And so Salambasana on the floor looks so similar. We come down. I think you can still see me. Yeah. So what we do here is arms down by the side. Very similar thing. Resting down, lifting the head, neck, and shoulders, and then simply the arms. This is a level 1 Salambasana. And again, sort of that chin scoops forward, allowing you to continue to breathe through the throat, and then resting down with the palms facing up, one ear on the floor. And again, to start Salambasana on the floor, we have to make sure we start neutral, looking down. So we flip the palms over, lift the head, neck, and shoulders, and then lift the arms. Level 2. And down. And then if you want to ease off of Salambasana on the floor, much like you do on the chair, you would just lift your head, neck, and shoulders, and don't lift the arms. You're still building a little strength here in the upper back. And then we come down. And so always it's good to do a little stretch as we come out of Salambasana. So we'll add that cat-cow positioning, and you know how to do it on your chair. Inhale, drop your belly, look up. And then just move a little bit. Again, your own body is perfect today. This body, the one you started with this morning, not something you wish you had. And even if you're not in a perfect state of health, it is still good to notice your body is here and present with us, and therefore perfect. And so we'll just take a moment and let everything kind of come into your mind and body. And we'll think through the idea of our feet, noticing our feet to help with posture. We'll take a moment and remember kind of that reset, kind of finding your good posture against a straight wall. And then just 3 poses that will help you maintain and encourage more of a don't have to think about it posture. And that is the mountain pose. Seated. Same concept as standing, just a little less weight bearing on the body. We have our cat-cow positioning, inhaling, and then on the exhale is that good stretch. You know the concept on the floor, yeah? So same thing as you're on all fours, keeping that nice box shape with just a simple micro movements if that's what you have today. And then that Salambasana locust pose on a chair with the blanket, right up to your hip creases. Lean forward, lay your belly, hands come down. We've done this, just little reminders here. This is level 1 and level 2. Back to level 1 and release. One more time. Up, here we go. Level 1. Level 2. Back to level 1 and release. And we climb out of this whatever way feels good. I like to just come all the way up through Salambasana, but we can do it any old way. And so the last thing I'll say before we sit a little together is one thing we know when we encourage this awareness of the feet and how we're moving is, a lot of times when we go to sit in a chair that we know is stable, all of us tend to hold on to it as if it's going to move, right? If we know it's stable, it's kind of fun to me to just practice sitting down without helping ourselves. Strong core, strong lift, lifted, strong awareness down. Strong core lift, and knowing the chair will not fail us here. And so we'll all come to a comfortable seated position. Maybe allow your body to come closer to the back of the chair, but not so that you're out of alignment, right? So I like to really not touch the back of the chair if I'm seated in one. On the floor, I take a different shape, and maybe we'll do that a different day. But for now, put the 2 hands, palms facing down on your low femurs, your thigh bones, shoulders nicely relaxed away from your ears, and let the eyes close if that feels okay today. And without changing a thing this morning, just notice the breathing. Observe your breath coming in through the nose, and with a lifted, graceful chest, allowing the breath to seep out of the nose. Couple rounds of nasal breathing. You just kind of notice the experience today of this nasal intentional breathing. And draw your attention to the bottoms of your feet. Notice the feel of the skin of your feet against the floor in your socks. Noticing your lower leg bones as they rest between your knees and ankles. Notice the bend of the knee behind the kneecap. Your hamstrings resting nicely on your chair. Thigh bones relaxed down on those beautiful hamstrings. And those hard-working quadriceps just relaxed right around those thigh bones. And with your chest still gracefully held in a lifted position, notice the belly kind of soften out as we inhale. And as we exhale, bring the belly in. Just a little effort here to let the air come out fully. I like to think about inhaling to soften into the world. Exhaling to rest back home. Inhale to soften into the world. Exhale with strength to rest in your backbone, the home of your spine, your body. A couple more breaths. Relax your jaw. Broaden your collarbones without moving. Relax your shoulders. Soften your face. Allow a smile come to rest across your lips. And just noticing that by breathing, we are enough. Showing up to our life is enough. Peeling back the layers and resting in the experience of the day is growth. And when you're ready, just blink your eyes open. And as we do end our yoga practice together today, we'll do it traditionally in the Sanskrit. We bring our hands to heart center. So thumbs rest right on your sternum, elbows soft. And understanding that the light in me is the same light that is in you. And together we connect. And I see love in the door, the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. All right, friends, we have our 4 o'clock this afternoon. Please join us. I'm also letting you know I will be teaching a 45-minute free yoga class on the Insight Timer app. I kind of belong to a group of teachers over there, and I'm going live on Friday at 9 a.m. And we'll send out a link if you'd like to join. It'll be an extended version of today's practice, 45 minutes, and with more options and a few more poses. So and it's live, so it feels good if you'd like to join us. I'll make sure that goes in the post